Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I've had my C8 for almost a year now. I got it at the end of June last year. It's got almost 5,000 miles on it. It's going to go in for its first year service soon to get its DCT filter done and oil change. The first service is free, so the DCT filter, which could be $600 to $800 depending on labor rates at dealers, but in America it's $600 normally in the US. In Canada it's more like $800 USD. You want to get that done in the first free service if you're putting on any miles. If not, you pay for your first service. It should be like $90 for an oil change, and then you use your free one the next year because you have 48 months to use your first service. So that's a good tip on C8 maintenance. But the car's going to be going in for its first service. I just cleaned it, so I thought it'd be a good time to do my first year review with the car. Some things I've done to it: I've added these carbon side scoops. You can get them from nextgenspeed.com. They're $3.95. I mean, they stick on with 3M tape and they fit really nice. I also did these carbon buttons from nextgenspeed.com. They were on sale when they first came out, really cheap, so I got them. They're a little more now. I don't know if they're still worth it, but you can check it out if you want. I think that's all I'm really going to do with the car for now. I might get these parts in carbon from NextGen. They just came out with those parts, which are really cool. But overall, everything else on the interior stock, and Chevy just did such a nice job with this car. It really is unbelievable. And the space in both trunks, I'm going to open them real quick. Yeah, it's that easy. It doesn't look like that crazy, but I love how much access you have to the engine bay. But I just moved out from college back for the semester, and I packed everything in the car for the drive back. And it's just insane what you could fit. A TV, a massive poster, all my detail supplies, all of my clothes. I don't really have that many clothes. I don't care enough, but everything that I own fit in this car, which is incredible. And I didn't even have to use the passenger seat. Actually, I did put my racing helmet in the passenger seat, but that belongs in the car anyways, right? So let's take the car out for a drive, and we'll talk about what I love so much about this car and why it is such a good car. This is one of the best features on the car. Yeah, the C7 couldn't do that because it was a stick, so there was no one to press the clutch in. One thing that people might not know is when you do that, the car's not actually on, like the computers haven't woken up, so you still have to put your foot on the brake, press start to get anything to work. One thing I know from using the McLaren the past 2 days is how much I appreciate these all-season tires in New York, because the rocks being picked up on this driveway were insane. And I hear absolutely nothing right now, which is one little thing. But I think I heard that in the SUV, so yeah, that's nothing. I mean, you're not gonna get rock chips from that like you would on the McLaren or any of the stickier summer tires. That is a huge benefit. The car is cold, which is so frustrating around these, like, there's some nice turns here, and it'd be nice to put a little power into it, but you can still get some speed. And the chassis of this car, it's the difference between the C7 and the C8 for me. This is the biggest one. I mean, you can carry an extra 10-15 miles an hour. And how well this car rides with bumps. I mean, it doesn't get unsettled when you hit a bump in a turn. C7 would. Like, this is a nice hard turn. That's, you know, the car just handles that so well. It doesn't get unsettled by the bumps. It's really nice. One thing I don't like is it just went into 4-cylinder mode, and that's a little frustrating. But I mean, on the highway, it's a nice thing. It's just, I know Chevy's had some lifter problems, Jam in general, with that. Says the cylinder deactivation system. Usability of this car is off the charts. I mean, it's really, I have the car set up, like, you know, for fun either way. I have the steering in track, the exhaust in track all the time, and that's my mode. That's how I have it. I have the brakes heavier, and that's just how I like to drive it. And it feels, even in traffic, it's just an exciting drive, but it's just so comfortable. These seats are more sporty than the C7, but they're still comfortable. They're not like completely lazy couches though, which the C7 was. Just the ride of this car is absolutely, it's only matched in my opinion by like the McLarens, which have the crazy computers to monitor each wheel independently, you know, and that's a highly complicated system that can have hiccups, and this is just a much more simple system. This isn't a Z51 car, and it doesn't have mag ride, so, I mean, this is base C8. I actually drove the 458 Spider for the first time recently, and I drove it a few times, and I gotta say, the engine note on that car is amazing when you're really revving it out, but when you're just driving around, it's very quiet and docile, kind of like this car, but the steering on this car, it has much more weight and much more feel to me, and it's just, the turn on this car is so unbelievable. I honestly think I prefer the C8 to the 458, which is a big statement, because the 458 is a tremendous car. The price proposition, you have to keep that in mind, and I'm not even talking about the price. I'm just talking about which car I prefer. I mean, this car is just much more usable. The build quality on both is pretty similar, and to be honest, I just like the characteristics of this car a little more. It might sound strange to compare this to a Ferrari that is much more expensive than this, but that's really what you have to compare this car to, and that's how good of a job Chevy did with this car. Because the Boxster is supposed to be in this category, the F-Type is supposed to be in this category, but meanwhile the 911 can't beat this car, it can't touch this car. So, I mean, the 911's over 100,000 start now for a base C2. Forget C2S, forget C4, it's unbelievable the price proposition of this car. I mean, it put everybody in a jam, I feel like. And there's a reason there's still an 18-month wait list, 3 years after this car came out. And again, if you want to get one, just get on the waiting list at one of the big dealers. In Florida, you have the 70 mile an hour speed limit, so you can get some better pulls. In New York, the highways are 55, and around here, it's really 45, which is unfortunate because the only thing you get is really low down pulls. And this car has no traction right now. It's about 54 degrees, but the tires are still cold and not even up to pressure, which is strange because they were yesterday at 60 degrees. But normally I do this loop just to get a little pull, so we'll see how much traction the car has. Z mode, manual. I just love that. The car is just so usable power, and it just drives so well. And if you really want to have an aggressive shift, you need to have the car in Z mode. With the Squircle, as much as people make fun of it, you can really dig deeper into the corners. It's just a really comfortable wheel. What the hell is going on with the passenger door? Do you guys just hear that? I gotta check that. I don't know what that is. We actually had a problem with the Ford GT's door last night where the driver's door wouldn't close. And right now it has to be completely slammed shut, which is just not a comfortable thing on a car like that. But the way this car handles his turns as effortlessly is. Sounds not bad either. When I had the C7, I said it was the perfect sports car, and I don't retract that statement. Manual, big engine, so much fun, and just a raw car. This is the perfect supercar, because you do have to factor price in. You do have to factor everything, comfort, all that, because you know what? You want to drive supercars. That's what they're meant to do. And you know what? Aside from the big McLarens and stuff like that, I do think this is the ultimate supercar. It doesn't have any big noticeable flaws, except for apparently the passenger doors falling off is what I noticed on that drive. But now with 4,500 miles, I'm just so happy making the switch up from the C7. And the fact that it pretty much costs nothing to do so, thanks to the crazy used car market, is just an incredible thing and an incredibly lucky thing. Actually, last thing I forgot to mention, if you guys have a C8, you might have heard someone say Z-mode smell. This has a bad Z-mode smell right now. When you drive the car aggressively, that transmission smells, which I'm not gonna lie, that's concerning for a first generation DCT, but see you guys in the next one.